It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. Many people have expressed they have issues with Scrum, but the question becomes, how can you fix the three top most common Scrum issues? People all the time talk about, there are issues with Scrum. What are those issues and what are the fastest way to fix them? And I know it's hard to boil down to the top three because three is not a lot. But I thought I'd go through the list real quick and talk about what challenges people face and what the top three issues are and how we can get through them. So let's do it. So we all know that Scrum can be challenging, especially for leadership and product managers in many cases, especially when it comes to issues with like sprint zero pitfalls or unclear acceptance criteria or misuse of story points. So understanding and addressing common problems can help you streamline your Scrum process and improve your team's productivity. So here are the top three actionable things you can do to help make your Scrum workflow more effective. Starting right at the top with number one, avoid at all costs starting projects with a sprint zero. Okay, sprint zero is a myth. I took this class, the Certified Scrum Master class from Ken Schwaber way back when, 2003 timeframe. And what I can tell you is even then people were talking about this preparatory sprint and it never existed. It was never a thing. Sprint zero is not enough time or context to plan for architectural decisions, to plan for ideation, to plan for discovery. It's just not enough time. If you advocate for a more flexible approach, you should have an initial setup to do ideation and discovery prior to the work ever being placed into a single sprint. So I think that if you handle this correctly, you can avoid even having a need for sprint zero by just doing proper refinement, proper grooming, and proper release planning. So I guess what I'm trying to say is doing things right oftentimes is better than patchworking with a sprint zero. All right, let's go to number two. Ensure thorough planning through clear acceptance criteria. So acceptance criteria is something that's really interesting. I've heard so many different people say you should do it different ways, but if you don't have any acceptance criteria in your items by the time the sprint hits, you're going to end up with scope creep and you're going to end up with some stuff that you don't want. You're going to end up with some ugly things. So the whole given when then Gherkin model tends to be the best scenario. Given this scenario, when this happens, then this is my expectation. And that would allow people to understand what the expectation is, what the current issue is, and what to be looking for, what to be expecting. And I think that if you can get to that point, it's going to help you mature a lot faster as a team. And it's going to help you mature a lot faster as an organization. And it's going to help you better get your head around a definition of done. And it's going to help the team understand that you are focused on outcome and not just output. All right. Now coming at number three, my favorite one to beat on is you should avoid at all costs treating story points like they're ours. The second you cross the line, the second you violate and say that a point is worth so many hours or a point is an ideal day, the second you do that, you've gone back into a waterfall mindset. You've gone back into that mentality. And yeah, I don't care if you use dog sizes, dinosaur sizes, truck sizes, whatever you get your hands on. You just need to do something that's not numeric, and you need to do something that affiliates with a relative complexity estimate so that it will make a lot more sense in the long run what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, and what assistance you might need to get there. So it's one of those things where story points are probably the most misunderstood and misinterpreted and most violated topics in any Agile implementation. So I think taking the time to understand why we need to avoid treating them like time and trying to take the time to understand what the next best step is going to empower all the teams over time because everyone's going to learn from each other that story pointing is not nearly as bad as it's thought. Okay, so those are your three topics. I hope they were of interest to you. If you have a topic that I missed or something else you want us to discuss, reach out to us. Learn more at agiledad.com. We would love to hear from you. As always, we encourage you to stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile, my friends. Until next time.